What is going on, football fans? It is game day. It is Saturday. It is week 9 of the SEC college football season. We're going to talk a little Alabama, Kentucky. Alabama back in Bryant-Denny Stadium after 2 weeks off. So a little bit of a lull there, in part to a bye week, in part to, COVID, obviously ramping up around the country and having to cancel their game against LSU. So without further ado, let's get old Matt Scalisi on the horn here to talk a little Alabama, Kentucky. And before we get started, I do want to mention off the top, our buddy and colleague Matt Zenitz off the top tweeting out last night and confirming with sources that Kentucky will be without at least 5 starters versus Alabama, which can definitely impact the game because we talked about it before we got on the broadcast. The big one there, running back Chris Rodriguez, and then you got leading tackler Jamin Davis, and then their punter, Max Duffy. So that is a significant loss for those this Kentucky team going into this game against the number 1 team in the country.
Definitely not a situation where you want anything working against you going into the game, and
Yeah.
this is more than just a thing or two to be working against Kentucky.
Definitely a thing or two. All right, so we're going to go down the list like we always do. We're going to talk about what we're excited about, biggest challenge Kentucky poses, and then we'll make a little bold prediction. So off the top, one thing that I'll tell you I'm excited to see from Alabama today, and I actually talked to Mike McCoy about this earlier in the week. You know, Mac Jones, the Heisman race is full throttle right now. And so my biggest question, and Matt, maybe you can weigh in on this, what is it going to take for him to have that consideration? Because right now he's number 2 behind Justin Fields at Ohio State, and then he's just ahead of Kyle Trask. But we saw what Kyle Trask did against Georgia, torching Georgia, 474 yards, 4 touchdowns. And so, I guess part of it comes down to who they're going to play, what their opponents look like. So you got Kentucky today, you got Auburn next week in the Iron Bowl, and then we don't know yet, but potentially they could play against LSU, maybe Arkansas. We don't really know. But then here's the big thing. Kyle Trask and Mac Jones get to face each other in the SEC championship the way things are looking right now. So that's what I'm most excited to see today is how Mac Jones continues to perform and pad out those Heisman numbers. And if there is any chance in the world that he could surpass Justin Fields, and if not, keep Kyle Trask there below him.
I would say in terms of what I'm excited to see today, it's just watching Alabama football again at all. It honestly feels like it feels like a new season is starting all of a sudden.
It's been a minute, right? It's been a minute.
3 weeks. There is, again, a lot of things about this year are weird and unprecedented, and this is another one of them that we've never had a break of 3 weeks between games in the middle of the season before. It's just never happened. So it's hard to know how they'll react to this, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But mostly, I'm just excited to see the team back out there again. They were off to such a strong start. They had a big hurdle all of a sudden that they had to deal with in losing Jalen Waddle, and I think they were looking like they overcame that pretty successfully. And then, to speak to your comments about the Heisman race, to me, the Heisman Trophy race is so much about momentum and staying in front of everybody's faces as they're watching the season play out. It's a PR campaign more than anything else. It is not a thing you can purely win on the field. It's kind of about staying in the front of everyone's minds. And Mac Jones hasn't had the opportunity to do that for the last 21 days. So this is a big opportunity. I think hopefully Alabama doesn't miss any more games. They've been able to keep COVID under control within their own team so far this season, and it's really only been other teams that have created issues. But I think Mac has some good opportunities. I don't know if today, I think at least today is about getting back in front of everybody again. But yes, playing Auburn next week is a huge opportunity. Auburn is a good team that's getting a lot of respect right now after the way they sort of bounced back from their early season losses. LSU, I don't know that you're going to get a ton of credit, but you can certainly seems like a team that gives you an opportunity to put up a lot of big numbers. And I think Arkansas might have a similar opportunity. And as you said, I really think for both Mac and Kyle Trask, they're kind of set up in a great position for a Heisman campaign because they get to end their season with a game against probably the other major competitor for the Heisman Trophy, which is not something Justin Fields is going to get the opportunity to do. He's going to basically run roughshod over the rest of the Big Ten all season, and he's putting up great numbers, but he's not going to have the chance to play in an epic showdown like Mac Jones and Kyle Trask are going to get to at the end of this season.
Yeah, you make a good point. And it's interesting when you were saying about how some of it is a PR move, right? And it's kind of who's at the forefront of the minds of many. It just kind of clicked in my brain. Some of that partially is the fact that Justin Fields, Ohio State starts the season later. So there was even more anticipation for Ohio State getting in the mix. Obviously, when the Big Ten was able to roll in with their season very late to the party, if you will. And so in some ways, we just got to see Justin Fields step on the field not too many weeks ago, it seems like. So it'll be interesting for sure, but certainly, Mac Jones has been playing the part, looking the part, and it's been fun to watch. So biggest challenge Kentucky poses, and, I'll start here. So quarterback Terry Wilson for Kentucky. I guess they played Vanderbilt a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I don't even know when they played Vanderbilt. It seems like everyone's all over the place. I can't even keep up with it. But their last time out was against Vanderbilt. I do believe it was last week. I think the Kentucky's ground game ran over Vanderbilt's defense. Now, I know it doesn't say a lot because we're talking about Vanderbilt, but I do think that, Kentucky generated 308 yards on the ground on just 35 carries. And so, that's an average of, what are my numbers there? 8.8 yards per carry. And so I think that is an area that you would look at. However, we just said that would have been sort of my biggest challenge, but now you have your star running back out of the mix in Chris Rodriguez. So all of a sudden, that being the biggest challenge kind of goes out the window. And now, this Kentucky team could take on an entirely different look today.
Here's the way football can really, as a sport, how things can really cascade on you in the sport of football in a way that it maybe doesn't in other sports too. Not only, as you mentioned, is Kentucky missing their really dangerous and effective running back, but on top of that, they're missing a key defensive starter and their most important special teams player, right? So now you're in a bad position to stop an incredibly dangerous Alabama offense. And if your offense can't get things going, you're going to be potentially in a tough position, field position wise, because you don't have your starting punter out there. So this is the real dangerous part, I think, for Kentucky, is not can you make anything work all day long. It's the issue of, okay, we're going to have trouble running the ball as well as we usually do, and we might fall behind really quickly in this game, at which point we're not going to be able to run anyway. Running doesn't even make sense. So there's a lot of unusual pressures that can start to just build themselves up like a big giant, lasagna of disaster on top of you.
You, of course, doing lasagna.
That's right.
The Italian that you are. I love it.
Yeah, I think this could get ugly for Kentucky in a hurry. They need to do some things early in this game to keep it close and stay competitive, because they're just not in a good position to come from behind against Alabama in this game. So they need to do everything they can, I think. I think the key for Kentucky in this game, and I'm sure that this will be the plan going in, you got to stop Alabama's offense. You got to get some early stops and take advantage of it. And, man, that's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're going to go into bold prediction as we wrap this thing up. Look, Kentucky's never beaten the Crimson Tide in the state of Alabama. UK 0-10 versus Bama in Tuscaloosa. And that is not going to be my bold prediction today. That changes. Just so y'all know, we're not going to change course. But I do think that Kentucky is going to do what they do, and they're going to drain the clock. They're going to try to run the clock down as much as they can. So I think in the first half, we're going to see this game being semi-close. And y'all, I say semi-close, but in Alabama terms, that's like here, not here, okay? So I'm going to say give them a little bit of a run for their money early on, make it a little bit challenging. And two, you said Alabama hasn't played in 3 weeks. And so I think Alabama is going to come out hungry and ready to play. But also, there's one of those things, the Iron Bowl is coming up in a week, and this is one of those games where Nick Saban likes to put that message out there. We're not going to overlook opponents, and we're not going to sit here and downplay the magnitude of the opponent that we're playing. And he'll use that as kind of his rat poison comment to make sure that they're ready to go next week when things get a little bit more challenging. So again, first half, I think will be semi-close. And then Alabama's just going to put the tanks on. They're going to roll out there and steamroll the rest of the way.
My prediction is related to that, Lauren. I think that Alabama is going to come into this game knowing that they have a physical advantage in this game, and also knowing that, look, everybody knows about Alabama's deep threat in the passing game. They don't need to establish that any further. It's established. There's a lot of film out there. What I think Alabama could really do today to make Auburn and everybody else down the road have to prepare differently is run the ball with a level of physicality and intensity that they haven't so far. And I think that's what they go do today. I think they go out there and pound it on Kentucky. Could they throw it over Kentucky's heads all day to Devontae Smith and John Mechie? Sure, they probably could. But I think they're going to choose to run the ball and run it over and over again. And I'll predict that Najee Harris ends up with at least 150 yards on the ground today.
All right. I like that prediction. Sounds good, Matt. We appreciate the insight as always. Remember, Alabama hosting Kentucky, kickoff 3:00 Central Time on SEC Network, and of course you'll have the post-game recap on that. And we appreciate you as always.
Hey, one more thing, Lauren. So we've actually got for Iron Bowl week next week. We're doing a special video that actually we need our fans' help with. So if you're interested in showing up on camera and talking about your experiences as an Alabama fan and what you're looking forward to with the Iron Bowl next week, check us out on our Facebook page, on our Alabama Crimson Tide at AL.com Facebook page for details on that. We would love to have as many fans as possible participate in this, and you could end up in a really cool video that we put out here on our website and all of our social channels. So check that out.
And it's worth noting, we want fans. I'll just give a little full disclosure, sort of precursor to what everything's about. We want fans to be able to kind of take videos of themselves, what they're looking forward to most with this Iron Bowl, where they're celebrating, who's going to win and why. Maybe you've got some cool memorabilia you want to show off, your man cave, and not to mention it's game day Saturday. And, I'm not saying that some of y'all out there don't wear your Tide jersey 7 days a week, because I know there are some of you out there that do that, but some of you don't. And hey, you're already dressed up today, so why not go ahead and knock that out? The game kicks off at 3. You still got a couple hours here to knock it out, or you can do it afterwards. But yeah, we would love your help. So hit us up on our social channels, and we might be able to feature you guys in our video.